day, everyone. I am Muffy Lusterio from BSED Science 3, your topic presenter for today. So, our topic for today is about implementing a curriculum daily in the classroom. In our lesson, we have three desired learning outcomes, and those are: first, review the components of a daily plan for teaching; second, identified intended learning outcomes; and third is match the learning outcomes with appropriate teaching methods. So, take off. A teaching activity is like implementing a mini school curriculum. A daily lesson plan is based on a plan or written curriculum which will be put to action by the teacher in the classroom. So, pag sinabing mini school curriculum, ito ay yung mga lesson plan na i-discuss or i-implement ng teacher sa isang classroom na naka-base or naka-align dun sa written curriculum na binigay ng DepEd. So, kailangan bago mag-end yung discussion, ay malaman ng guro kung may natutunan ba yung mga estudyante dun sa discussion, at dito madidiscuss sa report ko kung paano yung mga proseso para malaman. So, we have next the DepEd Order number 70 series of 2012. Teachers of all public elementary and secondary schools will not be required to prepare detailed lesson plans. They may adopt daily lesson logs which contain the needed information and guide from the teacher guide and national manual reference material with page numbers, interventions given to the students, and remarks to indicate how many students have mastered the lesson or are needing remediation. So, itong order na ito ay siya nagsabi na hindi na required sa mga teachers na ma-experience na sa pagtuturo more than 2 years ang paggawa ng daily lesson plan, either nagturo man sila sa public or private. So, kailangan na lang gawin ng mga teacher ay daily lesson logs. So, ano yung daily lesson logs? Andun matatagpuan yung mga nakapaloob dun yung mga lesson, materials used, yung remarks para sa mga estudyanteng nasa mastery level pa, or kailangan pa ng improvement, other activities, at yung mga pwedeng gawing remedy sa mga estudyanteng may poor performance. So, kailangan din sa daily logs yung mga activities na makakapag-develop ng higher order thinking skills, at malalaman natin mamaya yun kung ano-ano yung mga skill na yon. So, dahil din sa order na ito, medyo nabawasan yung gawain ng mga teachers. So, yung time nila is pwede na nilang ilagay dun sa paggawa ng mga instructional aids, pag-assess ng learner performance, at kung ano-ano pa. So, next, teacher with less than 2 years teaching experiences shall be required to prepare daily lesson plans which shall include the following. So, bakit naman bakit naman required dun sa mga bagong teacher na magawa ng lesson plan kung may DepEd order naman na? So, dahil nga ito yung magiging training or practice nila para ma-organize at ma-manage nila yung kanilang lesson ng maayos at ma-develop yung kanilang lesson planning skills at experience na din nila yun. So, itong 5 parts na objective, subject matter, procedure, assessment, and assignment is iisa-isahin natin kung ano yung mga nakapaloob dito. So, we have the main parts of a lesson plan. So, first is we have the objectives or intended learning outcomes or ILO. So, these are the desired learning that will be the focus of the lesson. Learning outcomes based on taxonomy of objectives presented to us as cognitive, affective, and psychomotor. So, itong ILO o yung intended learning outcomes, yung inaasahang matututunan ng mga estudyante after discussion, at nakabase ito sa taxonomy of objectives na cognitive, which is deal with the mental skill. So, affective, that deals on how we deal with the situations emotionally, such as feelings, appreciation, enthusiasm, motivation, values, and attitude. And lastly is the psychomotor, which deals with the physical coordination, movement, and use of motor skills, body parts. So, para ma-develop yung skill na ito, kailangan ng practice sa accuracy at speed. So, ito yung sinasabing yung taxonomy na pinagbasehan ng ILO. So we have here the table, which is the Bloom's taxonomy and the revised Bloom's by Anderson. So yung gawa ni Bloom ay nirevise nung kanyang sariling estudyante na sila Lorraine Anderson and David Cratwell. So we have here the yung evaluation ni Bloom's is naging creating, then synthesis to evaluating, analysis, revise to analyzing, application to applying, comprehension to understanding, and then last one is the knowledge to remembering. So itong knowledge or the remembering is the first level or the lowest order thinking skill. So as we can see, meron lamang tatlong pagbabago yung nangyari dun sa revision na ginawa. So, una is yung nouns na ginawa ni Bloom ay ginawang verb, which is more active form of thinking. And then yung pangalawa, na-rearrange yung categories. Example is yung evaluating ay napunta dun sa panglima instead of siya yung highest order thinking skill. And then sa pangatlo, na-establish yung level ng knowledge from original version. Instead of evaluating, yung highest order thinking skill ay naging creating. So let's discuss the revised version from the lots or lower order thinking skills to the highest order thinking skill. So first order thinking skill is remembering. So remembering is recalling or retrieving previous learned information. So ito ay isang review if may natatandaan pa ba yung mga estudyante from their previous lesson na pwede nilang magamit or makonect sa new lesson na i-discuss. So example, ng remembering, keywords niya ay define, describe, identify, and then identifies, labels, list, outlines, selects, and states. So for example niya is, the students can define what is volcano. We have here the understanding. So understanding, comprehend meaning, translation, state problem in own words, and making meaning. So kapag naiintindihan ng isang estudyante yung isang lesson, kaya niya na makapagbigay o makapag-construct ng sariling meaning sa isang topic. So for example niya, ang keywords naman ng understanding ay comprehends, explains, distinguishes, estimates, gives, examples, interprets, predicts, rewrites, summarizes. So for example naman niya is, the student can explain how the volcanic eruption happens. So next is we have the applying or the visual receiving. So applying is using of new concept in new situation, applies what has been learned in new situation. So example naman ng keywords ng applying is applies, changes, computes, operates, constructs, modifies, uses, manipulates, prepares, shows, and solve. So for example naman ito is, the student can modify the type of volcano. So we have next the analyzing or the receiving and participating. So this is the separating materials or concepts into component parts to understand the whole. So example naman ng keywords nito ay yung breaks down, compares, contrast, diagrams, differentiates, discriminates, identifies, interferes, outlines, relates, selects, and participates. Example nito is, the learners can differentiate magma to lava. So we have here next the evaluating. So evaluating is judging the values of an idea, object, or material. Example keywords naman ito is yung appraises, compares, criticizes, defends, describes, discriminates, evaluates, interprets, justifies, and summarizes. So, dito naman, example naman ito is, the students can evaluate the types of volcano based on its characteristics. And the highest order thinking skill, which is creating, it is a building a structure or pattern, and putting parts together to create a whole. So, kabaliktaran naman siya nung analyzing kanina. Kung yung analyzing kanina is yung nag-separate, ito namang nag-create is pinagsasama-sama. So, example keywords ng creating are composes, compiles, designs, generates, modifies, organizes, rearranges, reorganizes, revises, rewrites, summarizes, and creates. So, dito naman, ang example naman ito is, the students can compile the volcanic eruption that happens in our country. So, kasama din sa creating skill yung paggawa ng thesis paper since these are composed of parts and chapters na pagsasama-samahin to become a whole. So, we practice the highest order thinking skills na creating when we are senior high school during our practical research subject. So, this is the revision of the Bloom's taxonomy. So, we have here the levels of knowledge. So, first, the factual knowledge. Factual knowledge, ideas, specific data, or information. So, it includes also the vocabulary, definitions. Pwede nating matutunan itong knowledge na ito by exposure, repetition, and commitment to our memory. So, pero since hindi naman lahat tayo ay kaya makapag-store ng facts and ideas and the terms, pwede naman tayong mag-rely sa books, online, notebook, or journals, or magtanong sa mga teachers if hindi talaga natin ito kayang ma-recall. So, next is we have the conceptual knowledge from the word itself, concept. So, it is words or ideas known by common name, common features, multiple specific examples which may either be concrete or abstract. Concepts are facts that interrelate with other to function together. So this conceptual knowledge, classifications and categories, theories, models, or principles. So pwede naman siyang ma-understood by knowing the relationship among the structure, classifying, and categorizing, knowing principles and generalizations, and knowing theories, models, and structures. So we have the third level of knowledge, the procedural knowledge. So it is the how things, step-by-step actions, methods of inquiry. So pag sinabi naman natin procedural is andun na yung from the word itself, procedure, which is may isip natin when it comes to procedure that it is step-by-step. So, sa procedural knowledge, it puts what into action through the how process, or it is the how to. And then, next one is the metacognitive knowledge. Knowledge of cognition in general, awareness of knowledge of one's own condition, and thinking about thinking. So, ito naman ay yung sometimes ito yung pinakang least paid knowledge type because minsan uncomfortable tayo na mag-reflect dun sa kung ano yung nangyayari dun sa ating world. Ganon. So, ano yung connection nitong levels of knowledge doon sa cognitive process na pinakita kanina? So, yung connection nito is, for example, itong factual or procedure, pwede nating magamit yung remembering natin na skill. So, madali namang, minsan natatandaan natin yung mga terms at saka yung mga procedure kung paano ginawa yung isang bagay or yung process. And then we have here next the conceptual or metacognitive. So, pwede natin gamitin skill doon ay understand. And doon naman sa metacognitive or factual, magagamit naman natin doon yung ating analyzing skill. So, dito sinasabing, if we have goals in life, we must pay attention to our knowledge needs at mai-increase nito yung success and goal attainment natin. So, as a future educator, tanungin natin yung mga sarili natin kung enough na ba yung factual, conceptual, procedural, or metacognitive knowledge na meron tayo. So, para malaman natin kung ano pa yung mga pagkukulang na dapat pa nating bigyan pansin para hindi tayo maapektuhan nito once na as a teaching field na tayo. So, in writing intended learning outcomes, it should be in a smart way. So, smart is acronym for the S, specific. So, kailangan specific yung mga objectives na gusto mong ma-achieve ng learners. So, avoid broad topics kasi maaaring maguluhan ng isang learner kung magkakahalo-halo yung mga lesson sa isang discussion. Halimbawa, nag-discuss ka about volcano. So, yung topic mo dapat is doon lamang iikot sa volcano. So, wag mo nang sasabayan ng, halimbawa, nag-discuss ka na ng volcano, tapos sasabayan mo naman ng discussion ng earthquake. Ganun. So, maaring maguluhan na yung mga learners. Next naman is measurable. So, making sure that yung learning outcomes ay mami-measure through quantitative by using assessment tools or evaluation instrument para malaman if may natutunan ba yung mga estudyante after that discussion. So, next is we have A for attainable. So, ibig sabihin naman ng attainable, kailangan sure tayo na yung activities na ibibigay natin sa estudyante ay kayang magawa ng mga estudyante. So, avoid giving complex activities, lalo na kung alam natin na beginner pa lamang yung isang learner. So, next, we have the result-oriented or outcomes. So, kailangan naman yung lesson na diniscuss ay iikot lamang dun sa binigay na outcomes. So, next naman is the T for time-bound. So, kailangan alam natin yung time frame kung gaano katagal yung magiging discussion. Make sure na ma-achieve yung objectives within the allotted time. So, next, we have here the subject matter or content, also called as SM. Ito naman yung second part ng lesson plan. So, it comes from a body of knowledge that will be learned to the guidance of the teacher. Subject matter is the what in teaching. In a plan, this is followed by the references. So, ito naman yung lesson na i-discuss ng isang teacher. Pwedeng facts, concepts, procedure, at metacognition. Sinusundan ito ng reference kung saan ito yung pinagkunan ng lesson. Pwedeng it's either from internet, so link yung nakalagay sa reference. Pwede rin books, e-books, and etc. So, next is we have the procedure or methods and the strategies. So, the crux of curriculum implementation. This is how a teacher will put life to the intended outcomes, and the subject matter to be used depends in this component. So, ito yung kung paano bibigyan buhay ng teacher yung kanya plan dahil hindi naman mamimit yung intended outcomes at may intindihan yung subject matter kung hindi ito ipapaliwanag or i-discuss ng isang teacher. So, next, we have here the approaches and methods used for teaching different kinds of learners. So, we have here the direct demonstration methods. So, this is the process of teaching someone how to make or do something in step by step. Under the direct demonstration methods, we have guided exploratory or discovery approach. So, ito naman yun is yung nagbibigay yung teacher sa learner na isang question, which is yung learner na yung maghahanap ng kasagutan para sa tanong na yun. I-discover niya yun for himself. So, we have here the inquiry method. For the inquiry method, ito yung learning process that engages students by making real-world connections through exploration and high-level questioning. The teacher will give a scenario and the students will give their opinion. And then, sa problem-based learning naman, ito yung isang uri ng student-centered approach in which students learn about a subject by working in groups to solve an open-ended problem. We have next the project method. So, it is the last method for direct demonstration method. So, dito sa project method, the student's point of view is given importance in designing the curricula and content of studies. So, we have here next the cooperative learning approaches. So, Dito sa cooperative, syempre kailangan ng cooperation. From the word itself, cooperate. So, a small group of learners working together as a team to solve a problem. So, we have first the peer tutoring. So, it is used by the students from the same classrooms to provide academics assistance. So, di ba, minsan may time na after discussion ng ating teacher, may mga lesson or parts na hindi tayo naiintindihan, and then pag ang nagpaliwanag na is yung mga classmate natin na doon na natin naiintindihan yung isang lesson. So meron talaga mga estudyante na mas natututo sila if yung kanilang makakaklase yung magtuturo sa kanila or magpapaliwanag. So next, we have naman the learning action cells. So ito naman is a group of teachers who engage in collaborative learning sessions to solve shared challenges encountered in the school, facilitated by the school head. So last one is the we have think, pair, share. So it is a collaborative learning strategy where students work together to solve a problem or answer a question about assigned reading. From the word itself, pair. So ibig sabihin, pwedeng two students yung magtulungan para masolve ang isang problem. So we have the third approach which is deductive or inductive approach. So ito yung, pag sinabing deductive, ito yung from general to specific. Then pag deduct, so pinapaliit. Then sa specific, sa inductive naman is specific to general. So pag sinabi man din ng parang induct is parang pinapalaki yung isang concept. And then yung sa project method and inquiry-based learning, same na dun sa under kanina nung direct demonstration method. We have other approaches. So first is we have the blended learning. It is about the design of a course that enhances the teaching and learning experiences for students and teachers by combining face-to-face learning activities with the online learning components. So very familiar na tayo dito sa blended learning, especially today. So reflective teaching naman is examining one's underlying beliefs about teaching and learning and one's alignment with actual classroom practice before, during, and after a course is taught. So, reflection. Parang ganun. And then sa integrated learning naman, ito naman ay approach where the learner brings together prior knowledge and experiences to support new knowledge and experiences. While the last one is the outcome-based approach, ito naman yung an approach to program and course design, teaching and learning that is focused on what the students are expected to learn and do rather than on what the teacher expects to teach. From the word itself, outcome. Then, and we have here next the 3 learning style, which is visual. Use graphs, charts, pictures, and to remember things that are written in form. So, from the word itself, visual. So, ang ginagamit na senses dito is sense of sight. So, visual turns notes into pictures, diagrams, maps. So, may mga estudyante na nakakatuto if more on visual yung nakikita nilang discussion. We have here next the auditory. Recalls information through hearing and speaking. Prefers to be told how to do things orally. Learns aloud. So, dito naman sa auditory, syempre, audio, ang ginagamit na sense is sense of hearing. So, may mga estudyante na kahit mas gusto pa nila yung naririnig lamang nila yung isang lesson. So, di ba parang ang hirap na maririnig mo lamang yung isang lesson. Halimbawa, nag-discuss yung teacher. Wala siyang pinapakitang any visual aid. So, napakahirap tandaan. We have next, the kinesthetic. So, prefers hands-on approach. Demonstrate how to do rather than explain. And likes group work with hands-on, minds-on. Learn something while doing another thing. For example, nag-experiment tayo. So, habang habang inoobserbahan natin yung ating experiment is nagsusulat naman tayo or nagja-jot down tayo ng mga napapansin nating pagbabago. So, we have here the Cone of Learning by Edgar Dale. Pinapakita nito yung maaaring maalala pa natin after 2 weeks. So, first, let's start to the highest percentage, which is 90% of what we both say and do. So, doing a dramatic presentation, stimulating the real experience, and doing the real thing. So, it is an active. So, pag sinabing active, ito yung nagre-require sa mga students to think, discuss, challenge, and analyze information. It encourage also the conversation and debate. So, dito pwedeng gumamit ng purposeful na experience sa pamamagitan ng learning by doing. Dahil almost of the learning outcomes ay nare-retain sa ating memory. So, what are the example of this? So, example, field trip, field study, community immersion, practice teaching. So, yung field study and practice teaching is experience natin when we are in our 4th year college. So, yung community immersion naman is na-experience natin siya when we are senior high school, diba? Nung grade 12 tayo is nag-immersion tayo. Doon natin nagamit yung mga natutunan natin, depende dun sa ating course na ating kinuha. And then, we have the next 70% of what we say. So, participating in a discussion, giving a talk, isa rin siyang active. So, it is receiving or participating. So, yung pakikipag-participate sa class activities, discussion, reporting, and similar activities. Diba, pag nag-report tayo ng isang topic at medyo matagal na, and then, bago nag-exam na isip natin na, ay, ito yung na-report ko. So, ganito, ganyan. Ibig sabihin, na-retain sa memory natin yung knowledge na ni-report natin. Example nitong 70% of what we say natin na ito is yung mga small group discussion. Diba't yung small group discussion, minsan ginagawa natin before examination. So, nagtatanong tayo dun sa iba nating kaklase na, ay, ano nga ning ganito, ganyan. So, matututunan na natin siya. So, we have here naman the bus session, individual reporting. So, ito yung ginagawa natin pangkaraniwan ngayon, kahit saang subject. So, role play, and then the panel. So, kung medyo hindi familiar yung panel, so yung panel is nakita ko na it's a few persons na nag-uusap sa harap ng mga audience. And then, at the end, magtatanong yung mga audience at sasagutin naman ng mga nagsasalita dun sa unahan. For example, yung isang scientist, nagde-discuss siya about global warming. And then, after niya mag-discuss, pwedeng magtanong sa kanya yung mga nakikinig sa kanya. And then, sasagutin naman yun ng isang scientist. Then, we have here naman the 50%. So, 50% naman is what we hear and see. So, watching a movie, looking at an exhibit, watching a demonstration, and seeing it done on location. So, it is visual receiving. So, ito naman is passive. So, pag sinabi naman passive, ito yung nagre-require sa learner to observe, assimilate, consider, and translate information. Ito yung nag-a-apply nung applying attention to detail. And next, we have the 30% of what we see. So, looking at pictures. Sinasabing 30% lang yung maaari nating matandaan if titingnan natin yung pictures, painting, illustrations, and drawings. And then, next is 20% of what we hear. So, hearing words. Ito naman yung, diba, parang pwede rin monologue, lecture, sermon, or etc. So, napakahirap ma-retain sa knowledge kung naririnig lamang natin yung isang discussion. So, next is 10% of what we read. So, ito yung pinakamababang percentage na maaari nating matandaan after 2 weeks. So, madaling makalimutan yung kung inabasa lamang natin talaga sa isang libro. Lalo na if basa lang tayo ng basa, hindi natin iniintindi kung ano ba yung binabasa natin. So, next is we have the fourth part of the lesson plan, which is the assessment of learning. So, it is the process of seeking and interpreting evidence for use by learners and their teachers to decide where the learners are in their learning, where they need to go, and how best to go there. So, dito naman titingnan ng mga guro kung yung mga learners ay may natutunan sa discussion, kailangan pa ng estudyante ng improvement at yung teacher ang maghahanap ng paraan kung paano nila matutulungan yung estudyante para sa kanilang improvement. So, last part of the lesson plan is the assignment or agreement. So, this is the task given to students by their teachers and tutors to complete in a defined time. So, very familiar na tayo dito since elementary pa lamang is nararanasan na nating bigyan ng ganito. So, nung elementary tayo is assignment pa lamang yung pinakang term na ginagamit. Pwedeng assignment or homework. Pero ngayon is ginagamit na rin yung agreement. So, ito naman is yung activities na binibigyan ng teacher sa isang estudyante na maaari nilang ipasa next meeting or depende sa time na binibigay ng teacher. So, that's all for my report. So, this is for my take action activity. So, activity 1, what is your learning style? First, study the learning style choice board and check as many as you feel you want to do more often. If you have more choices, then you have a multiple learning style individual. So, this is the learning style choice board. I am excited to do often the create visual diagrams, graph results of a survey, create a poster, draw a map, and create a PowerPoint. So, for my musical o auditory naman, excited akong gawin yung write a song or rap, write a jingle, create a rhyme, use an instrument to create. And then, sa verbal, I am excited to do the teaching of the concept, write instructions, create ads, write a poem, write a story. And then, for the physical or the kinesthetic, I want to create a game, do an experiment, build a presentation, and then create a sport. And then for the logical or mathematical, I want to do more often the create a code, make a timeline, create an outline, show a pattern, and the teach concept mapping. So, for the social naman, I want to do tell stories or poems, survey others, interview someone, teach a cooperative game, and hold a discussion. So for the solitary, I want to do more often keeping a journal, write about personal experience, and creating a PowerPoint. And for the naturalist, I want to do more often the collect and categorize data, material, or ideas, adapt materials, and then the label and classify. So, since marami yung natsakan ko, I can say that since marami yung napili ko, I can say that I have the multiple learning style individual. So, for my take action number 2, matching the teaching strategies with learning style and curriculum implementation. So now that you have identified your own learning style, what strategy or method of teaching will be most appropriate for you? Look for 4 members from among your classmates who have similar learning style with you. So make a group lesson plan that is most appropriate for your group using the basic components as prescribed by the Department of Education. So it includes the 5 parts of the lesson plan, which is objective, subject matter, procedure, assessment, and assignment. These are my classmates na kapareho halos ng aking mga learning style na piri. So sila yung katulong ko sa paggawa ng isang simpleng lesson plan. They are Erica Joy Almadin, Raymart Mocha, Erica Shane Espejo, and Glea Felizar. So I want to say thank you for your participation. So, ito yung ginawa naming simpleng lesson plan. So, lesson plan in science. So, yung aming objectives is differentiate heterosphere from homosphere. Second one is to enumerate and describe the layers of the Earth's atmosphere. And the last one is to recognize the importance of each layer in the Earth. So, yung aming number 2, subject matter, yung topic namin is about layers of the atmosphere. So, yung reference namin is nilagay namin yung link ng pinagkuhaan ng aming lesson. And then the science process is classifying and predicting. So, maka-classify if what layer ng Earth atmosphere yung i-discuss at pwede ring predicting. So, i-predict ng estudyante kung ano yung possible na mangyayari dun sa ating planet if walang layers of the atmosphere na nagproprotekta sa ating planet. And then the materials, video, and PowerPoint presentation. So, we have here the procedure kung saan ito yung magiging flow ng discussion. So, first is we will gain the attention of the learners. So, gagawin namin is magpresent kami ng video related to the layers of the Earth's atmosphere at magtatanong at least dun sa dalawang estudyante kung ano yung naobserbahan nila after watching the video. So next, we will inform the learners of the objectives. So, i-share namin yung expectations sa mga estudyante kung ano yung maaari nilang matutunan after discussion. At next is stimulate recall of prior learning. So, magtatanong kami sa mga estudyante if may nare-recall pa sila about dun sa topic na layers of the atmosphere since discuss naman na ito no previous level nila. So, next is we have the present the content. So, dito naman na mangyayari yung discussion. And then, sa provide learning guidance, magbibigay kami ng activity sa estudyante which is, syempre may allotted time. So, the students under the supervision of their teacher will guide the two groups on creating or illustrating their own model for the layers of the atmosphere that will be presented in the class afterwards. And then, we have the illicit performance. So, sa illicit performance, after makapag-illustrate ng mga estudyante ng layers ng Earth's atmosphere, the teacher will ask presentation para malaman if may natutunan ba talaga yung estudyante dun sa ginawa nilang activity. Magtatanong yung teacher sa estudyante if if naiintindihan ba talaga ng mga students yung activity nilang ginawa. So, pwede namin itanong dun yung, what have you learned after illustrating the layers of the atmosphere? So, second question, can you give some additional information about each layer? And then the third question is, what are the roles of layers to our planet? Then, last one is the provide feedback. So, provide feedback, doon magtatanong yung mga teacher ng random question, which is kapag nakapagbigay ng feedback yung isang estudyante, doon malalaman na may naintindihan sila doon sa isang discussion. So, karaniwan, oral yung ginagawa dito sa providing a feedback. So, we have the fourth part of the lesson plan, which is assessment of learning outcomes. So, ito yung nagawa naming mga question na pwedeng maging assessment. So, as we can see, 1 to 5 question, multiple choice. So, dito, kapag maraming estudyante yung nakakuha ng score around 4 to 5, so, ibig sabihin is maraming estudyante yung nakatuto dun sa isang discussion. And kung marami pa rin estudyante yung nakakuha ng 3 pababa, ibig sabihin is kailangan pa nating ma-improve yung discussion or magawa pa ng ibang strategy para maiwasan yung ganitong senaryo na maraming bata pa rin yung babagsak during assessment. And then the last one, yung ginawa naming assignment. So yung assignment na pinagawa namin is write a short paragraph about how our planet would be without the layers of the atmosphere. So ito yung simpleng lesson plan na ginawa naming 5. So next, we have the self-check and self-reflect activity. So dito is sa self-check may 1 to 10 na question. So if bibigyan lamang ninyo ng sagot yon kung ano yung hinihingi dun sa number na yon. So lahat naman ng tanong niyo na 1 to 10 is na-discuss naman dun sa aking report. And then sa self-reflect naman is bubuuhin lamang natin yung nakalagay na statement doon sa So nakalagay lamang doon, when I become a teacher, I will because. So ipapasa ko na lamang sa group chat yung soft copy ng ating self-check and self-reflect activity. So any questions or clarifications, you can message me at my Facebook account, Muffy Marie Lusterio, my Gmail account, lusteriomuffiemarie@gmail.com, and my cell phone number, 0951-8580-855, at sasagutin ko yung mga tanong ninyo sa abot ng aking makakaya. So again, I am Muffy Marie Lusterio from BSED Science 3, your reporter for today. So thank you for watching and listening.